going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Checkwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and this is a review for Monday Night Raw for August 12th, 2019. So I am actually caught up now. This is actually this week's worth of wrestling. I had a lot of stuff to catch up on. I'm finally here. So ladies and gentlemen, we start out with Seth Rollins. He comes out. He just beat Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. New Universal Champion. Does his promo. Says he wasn't sure about himself. Found out he's still Seth freaking Rollins. Out comes AJ Styles with the OC. AJ says, let's have a champion versus champion match, and let's see who the biggest champion is, the better champion. Rollins accepts. That's later in the night. Then you get Street Profits. They're doing a promo. They got Sami Zayn there. Sami Zayn's talking cash shit about a lot of wrestlers. And so Samoa Joe shows up. And Street Profits are like, well, what about Samoa Joe? And obviously Sami Zayn doesn't know he's there, so he starts talking about Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe pipes up, says, oh yeah? Let's take it to the ring, basically. So that gives you a match between Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe. It wasn't that long. Nothing really to remark about it other than it made Samoa Joe look like a killer. He defeats Sami Zayn pretty soundly, very quickly. And I don't understand what they're doing with Samoa Joe, because they'll give him moments like this where he looks absolute beast. Then they'll put him in a pay-per-view and he loses. All steam. I don't get it. So after that, you get Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. This is the match that we already knew about from 2 weeks ago. And Dolph Ziggler, he comes in. He's saying he's all banged up from getting tossed around by Goldberg and speared however many times. And he plays that off for a second, and then he attacks the Miz. He waits, the match starts, and then Ziggler's got the upper hand for a little bit. Miz exploits the ribs. Then he really, really surprised me, because he does like this shin crusher on Dolph Ziggler, where, you know, you pick him up and he drops him down on his leg. And then he puts him in the figure four, and Dolph Ziggler taps out to the Miz. When's the last time we've seen the Miz tap out anybody? I don't know, but that's what happened. After the match, Dolph Ziggler, just like he did at SummerSlam with Goldberg, gets on the microphone, says, you're not going to beat me, blah, blah, blah. Starts talking a whole bunch of mess, saying Maurice is the best wrestler in your family. Miz comes back down, skull-crushing finale, pats Ziggler on the head and takes off. It was actually pretty cool. I did like it. Charlie then interviews Becky Lynch, and I love this bit because no Natalya, nobody to ruin the moment. It was just Becky Lynch. She took the microphone from Charlie, and she addresses all the women on the roster, putting them all on notice, saying, I know I have a target, but you better get to me before I get to you. It was a really good promo, actually. So I really like that. Then you get an Elias promo. He's in the ring. He's got his guitar waiting for somebody to interrupt him. No one does, and then he's like, finally, an uninterrupted moment. Starts to play, Ricochet's music hits. That, of course, turns into Elias versus Ricochet. Not much to say about this match, honestly. Not either one of their best matches. Ricochet picks up the win fairly quickly, and there you go. Then you get Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. Of course, he's got Zelina Vega there. 2 out of 3 falls. He uses Zelina Vega in the very first fall. It was very quick. Gets a sneak pin on Rey Mysterio. Puts his legs on the ropes. Zelina Vega is holding his legs on the ropes, because, you know, that adds more weight or something. So he gets the first fall. And then the second fall, he just gets legitimately. It was a pretty good match, of course. I love Rey Mysterio and Andrade. I don't think they can have a bad match. And so they go 2 and out with Andrade over Rey Mysterio. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then after that, you get literally the most pointless Steve Austin interview ever. It was literally to plug his new show on USA. There was really nothing to it. Michael Cole asks Austin about what he thinks about Seth Rollins. Steve Austin talks him up, and then they plug the show, and that was it. And it was a waste of space. Charlie then interviews Rey Mysterio backstage, and he starts talking about his family and how he's never really lost 2 in a row like that. So I don't know if they're doing something there or whatever. Then you come back, just another Street Profits bit. Really nothing to this one. They're, you know, telling Rey Mysterio to keep his head up and whatever, but not a big deal. Backstage, you get a Drew McIntyre interview where he's talking about Cedric Alexander and what he's about to do to him, which of course leads right into the match. Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander, and this was a fucking good matchup. They had a match 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was not impressed. Honestly, I didn't get into it. There was no big deal. This match was really good, and I'll be honest, we already know that Cedric Alexander is an amazing athlete, is a high flyer. I know personally how damn good Drew McIntyre is, how much he really can do as a guy his size. This match really showcased it. This match really showed that Drew McIntyre is not a one-trick pony. He's not just a big guy who can't wrestle. He can move, and he was really impressive in this match. And it was a very good back and forth between Cedric Alexander and Drew McIntyre. A lot of, oh my God, is this guy going to win? And at the end of the day, Drew McIntyre, he just hits this nasty looking Claymore kick. And that's, you know, part Drew McIntyre and, of course, Cedric Alexander being able to sell it like he does. But it looked really, really good. Drew McIntyre gets the win. They made him look just badass. We're on a roll with that. Then you get the OC backstage. And, that, you know, honestly, there was really nothing to this. Honestly, there really wasn't. Then you get No Way Jose versus Robert Roode. Two guys they haven't used a whole lot. Maybe trying to get one of them to move up the ranks a little bit. See how they do in the ring. Robert Roode goes over fairly quickly. I really like Robert Roode. And you could tell by the crowd he was still pretty much over with them. You had the glorious chants going on, so it was a good moment. After that, Charlie interviews Paul Heyman backstage, and it was pretty quick. They were, you know, talking about how Brock Lesnar is not getting a rematch for the Universal title. And he's like, how do I tell that to Brock? And then he just goes into the locker room. Then you get a 24/7 brawl, which ends up initially in the ring with Wilder and Dawson both pinning RTruth at the same time. So they win, and they are dual 24/7 champions. Don't know how that works. Eventually, RTruth wins back the title. They walk. Him and Carmella get out of there, being chased by everybody, of course. And then they finally find some breathing room in the back somewhere, and then Elias comes up behind RTruth, hits him with the guitar, and Elias walks away with the 24/7 championship. Then you get really a very... I'm going to say it's a very piss-poor moment followed by a very great moment. Natalya, she comes out to the ring and she's, you know, saying that her elbow's dislocated because of the disarmer. And she has this really emotional moment where she's saying this is the 1-year anniversary of her dad's death. And I'll be honest, I fucking hate when WWE mixes shit like this in with their programming. It's deeply personal. And I think it shows a lot of lack of respect for, you know, everybody involved. Honestly, I just, that's how I feel. Just like when they were exploiting the whole Roman Reigns cancer thing. I was not a fan of that. I'm not going to be a fan of stuff like that. So I did not appreciate the direction they went. Then Sasha Banks' music hits. Sasha Banks is back. We've been wondering what's going on ever since WrestleMania. We know she was pissed. And they've completely rebranded her. She comes out and gives Natalya a hug, acts like she's going for the microphone, and then just waylays Natalya, beats the hell out of her. Becky Lynch comes down to the aid of Natalya, and Sasha Banks just runs through her too, and grabs a chair and like just smacks her like I don't know how many dozen times, but it was a lot. So it really made Sasha Banks, an immediate heel, look good. When she initially hit Natalya, she threw off her wig. She had a wig that looked like her old hair color. Now it's blue, so different look in a way. The only thing I'm going to say about this is coming back, Sasha Banks, right off the bat, initially, she was throwing some haymakers with that chair and kind of haphazardly. Like she was hitting Becky Lynch all over the body, in the head, on the arms, just everywhere. And that kind of comes with the territory with what they're doing, and I get that. But you have a little bit more control over it. And so that's one thing I will say. But I am glad to see Sasha Banks back. She's one of my favorite female wrestlers, period, of all time. I absolutely just love her attitude. And I think that now that she's a heel, it's really going to come through and it's going to be a great thing. After that, you get the Viking Raiders versus Locals once again. Today is 8/14. It's Wednesday morning. We have been doing this Viking Raiders versus local nobodies since literally 6/13 at least. At least 2 months straight of this crap. They're fighting nobody. I don't care. They're fighting these guys that are 100 pounds soaking wet. It means nothing to me. So Viking Raiders win. Whatever. Backstage, Charlie interviews Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. They're about to take on Asuka and Kairi Sane. No big deal. They go into the match. Asuka and Kairi Sane look like chumps here. I really don't like how they've been booked ever since coming up to the main roster. Asuka is incredibly talented, and they haven't used her at all. She goes for a kick on Alexa Bliss outside and kicks the ring post. Alexa Bliss moves. She kicks the ring post. That takes Asuka out. And that leaves them to take on Kairi Sane, which of course they do. Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss for the win. Seth Rollins then cuts a pretty good promo. He's talking about his match upcoming with AJ Styles, where, AJ Styles is talking about the best champion and Seth Rollins is suddenly back on fire. And so he's going to take care of AJ Styles. So that leads into the match. Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Of course, the OC is out there. There's a pretty good match that leads to a disqualification win for Seth Rollins because Gallows and Anderson jump in the ring and all three of the OC start beating down Seth Rollins. Ricochet runs out, tries to rescue him, but it's 3-on-1 at that point. The OC take him out too. Then Braun Strowman's music hits, and he takes care of all three of the OC, of course. That big monster of a man, he legitimately looks the part. So he takes care of the OC, grabs the Universal title, gives it to Seth Rollins, and that's where they close the show. Overall, I liked the show. I thought it was pretty good. I really like some of the stuff they did with it. I wish they would do something more with the Viking Raiders. I'm done with that. There was kind of a couple of throwaway bits, like the Samoa Joe thing. That could have done without. The Miz Dolph Ziggler thing I actually liked. Becky Lynch's promo I really liked. Rey Mysterio Andrade I liked. Drew McIntyre Cedric Alexander I really liked. I'm glad they put Bobby Roode back in. The Sasha Banks thing was great. So there were some weak points for sure. But overall, I really, really, really liked it. I thought they were back to form a little bit. Certainly not back to like Attitude Era form, but good show. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I felt pretty strongly about it. So that's where I'm at. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's worth that 7 out of 10. Let me know if you think it is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this or if you agree, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation, out.